What is something that everyone accepts as normal that scares you? Child beauty pageants. I don't know if I would say that everyone accepts these as normal, but the fact that they are still around and still pretty popular is concerning. Thank you. There is nothing normal about this. Disgusting. How acceptable it is for companies to screw people. Damn, I guess I hit a nerve. There's a reason there was a systematic campaign against unions. Now they want to remove your ability to seek legal redress. I hate listening to these political speakers talking about how unions are violent gangs and stuff. Unions have been really effective in achieving their purpose in other parts of the world, but it seems, based on the number of American workers in unions, that the campaign has worked. The amount of plastic in everyone's homes in the form of temporary food packaging. It doesn't seem like much until you pay attention to it, and then think about how much of it you alone are guilty of discarding. This stuff is literally everywhere, even in the lowest parts of our oceans. Yes. And all the plastic useless/single-use shit filling the stores all the time. All the poorly made soon-to-fall-apart crap at the dollar store. Those trinkets every chain store has on hand for the person that's impossible to buy for, or token gifts for people you barely know that they will never use. Who pulls out a tic-tac-toe game set? Or novelty beer glasses? Star Wars best dispensers because the only thing you know your step-cousin-in-law likes is Star Wars and you're on a budget. Millions of new Christmas decorations because consumerism has convinced people your tree can't have the same look every year. Gotta change that shit up. Why not have 2 Christmas trees? None of that shit is essential. And all of it arrives in the store in plastic packaging, and possibly leaves the store in a plastic bag. This world is sick. And it's seen as completely normal. I walk through the store at times and think about how much of the plastic is just completely unnecessary. You don't really notice it if you're not thinking about it too much, because it's so normalized to you. Instead, walk through and actively pay attention to how much plastic is on each and every product, and it'll boggle your mind. Also, the amount of perishable, completely edible, delicious food that likely won't get sold out and just wasted to a landfill. Maybe even composted, if it's lucky. Casual destruction of our environment. Having kids. The thought alone makes me stressed out. I just can't with my own life, let alone another human being. I don't have the mental health, money nor time for it. But hey, at least you recognize that. Many people don't know this about themselves, have kids, and then their lives fall apart. Not caring about doing the right thing, or the well-being of other people. The scariest thing to me is knowing how many people out there either don't have empathy or consider it weakness. You start noticing as a kid that some people are absolutely heartless about pets or frame everyone's misery as not their problem. Then as years go on you realize it isn't like 1 out of every 10 people that are like that, but more like 50% of everyone. Edit, RIP inbox, but I appreciate it smile. It is also scary that some people think they have empathy, but in reality it is some sort of pseudo feeling that only serves to benefit them, almost sociopathic, maybe? They act like they care, but in reality, it is just a tool to manipulate others. The fact that most of the current generation of working people in this country won't be able to have their own homes. I know a couple that will finally have paid off their home after retirement. It's a real shame, and it's not in America either. This is a worldwide issue for some reason. Europeans and the Japanese have it just as bad. Honestly, it's horrendous in Ireland now, especially Dublin. For a mortgage for a first-time buyer you need at least 10% deposit, but you only can borrow 3.5 times your wage, so someone on say 30k, which is in or around average-ish, can only get 90k. The average house price in Dublin now is probably close to 400k. It's not even worth trying for most of us. You could move down the country for slightly cheaper housing, but on top of that virtually all the jobs are in Dublin, so you'd end up commuting, which would take all your time and money anyway. There was someone in /r/Ireland recently that said the bank wouldn't give them a loan, which would end up costing less monthly than their current rent, because they couldn't prove they'd be able to pay it back. It's absolutely fucked. The rapid increase in mass surveillance combined with the gathering and use of biometric data. I'm not usually a doomsday conspiracy theorist, but sprinkle a little advanced AI on top of that and I'll go make myself a nice tinfoil hat. Watching our rights slowly get taken away and people consider it normal is definitely one of my great terrors. Like privacy. I mean, less than half a century ago people would have considered it conspiracy theories to say that companies know everything about you, your location and shit, and they sell your data all around. On that note, there's a book called The Circle that is basically like a modern version of 1984. It's terrifying, and the reason so is because I could actually see it happening. But if you have not hyung to hide, why do why ukari? Fuck everyone who uses this dumbass reasoning to hand-wave mass surveillance and data harvesting for the express purpose of turning people into data points. Having to work more than one job to survive. Edit, thank you for the awards. First time that's ever happened. Maybe one day we can make a difference and everyone can live happier lives. I used to be in shock at school when our history teacher would tell us about people working 14 to 16 hours during Industrial Revolution. Guess what? It has barely changed. Yeah, it's really messed up. Minimum wage isn't even living wage. Death. I'm freaking terrified. Yeah, your body will literally stop existing one day, but that's perfectly normal. Also, it's literally the only thing in Earth that's 100% unavoidable, but that's totally fine, like WTF. I mean, once you die, it's not your problem anymore. That's how I learned to accept it. My biggest relief is this: you probably won't even notice you've died, but it's nowhere near enough. The idea that being broken down and embittered at the world is a natural and unavoidable part of growing up. It's okay, I'll build you back up, Lego. Life is like Legos, you gotta keep building. Dying, lingering, painful deaths that last for weeks, months, or even years because we're afraid of death and anti-euthanasia. If other people want to die naturally, that's up to them and they've got every right to do so, but if I am one day facing a long, painful death, I want to be peacefully and painlessly killed via euthanasia, and I should have the right to do so without risking the doctor performing the procedure going to jail. To be clear, I do not want to die via euthanasia either. The ideal way of going would be peacefully in my sleep, or alternatively, some kind of instant death via explosion or whatever. I would prefer to die without artificial means to either end or prolong my life. But euthanasia should be available as an option, not a requirement, for those who want it and are facing terminal illness. It bothers me even more with stuff like dementia. I don't want to lose who I am. Why can't I make a directive that says take me out when it gets too bad? Last 4 generations of women on my maternal side has gotten dementia at 80 but lived till 93 years old. My mom is 83 and I'm caring for her now. I've already made the decision to not do this to my kids. Around 75 I'll take care of myself. Watching a person disappear is terrible. I won't do that to my kids. That I'm supposed to just bleed for a week every month, for 30 odd years of my life. Who invented this abysmal system? I think also how normalized our pain is, that when it's something serious like endometriosis it takes years to diagnose because it's dismissed as normal to have pain. 25 years. That's how long it took for a doctor to take my pain seriously. I had endometriosis and adenomyosis. I finally had a hysterectomy this past February, 2 weeks after my 40th birthday. Ignoring the truth because it makes them uncomfortable. It's hilarious how many people will read this, think it doesn't apply to them, and scroll past it. Edit, okay, normally I hate edits, but the number of people who think I think doesn't apply to me is too many. Everyone feels that it doesn't apply to them. I just verbalized it because I thought it would be funny. We all, including me, do this at some point in our lives. You're not wrong. I've said for years now that I'd rather have the truth than believe false things. The problem is, we all have our preferred biases. Sometimes, I'll scroll past that uncomfortable truth before coming back to it for real before accepting it. One of the few things I'm 100% sure of is that there are some truths that I have yet to circle back on yet. That is, things I've already come across and dismissed as untrue. I also say that I'd rather only be wrong once. I know I've not lived up to that entirely though. There are creatures in the ocean we haven't discovered yet, just chilling down there. Reddit, rip my inbox. Have you ever considered a few animals will never know about the existence of other living beings? Like a lion wouldn't know about, say, an octopus or a whale. Bro. Johnny just told me there's a fish the size of 10 elephants in the big water. And another with 8 arms. Can you believe that? Lamau. When all those kids in Pinocchio turned into donkeys. That one kid crying for his mama before barking like a donkey terrified me as a kid. I'm very curious how they're going to do it for the live-action version. They'll probably use CG instead of really turning them into donkeys. Teenagers having depression. So often, I see adolescents struggling with depression or other mental health concerns, only for them to be brushed off as mood swings or teenage angst. Nobody wants to take action for those kids until it's too late, and I wish that would change. Deleted. People laugh and joke about the government watching them, but when they are actually watching they don't care because I'm not doing anything. Being exploited at work. Working free overtime hours, having short lunches, not using their full PTO. We are humans. We are better than this. Dude. I work at Target and co-workers make fun of me for taking my 15 minutes break or lunch too early and not staying late to finish when finishing means working a 9 to 10 hours day. Some of them actually skip their paid 15 minutes breaks so they can get done on time. Like, y'all care about the company way too much. Let the work sit there if they don't feel like hiring enough people to get it done. I've got kids, and college classes, and hobbies. Fuck yes, I'm leaving on time. Driving, it terrifies me. Yup, the idea that I could do everything right but someone around me could be the one to mess up and kill me, or someone I love. You also don't even need to be driving for that to happen. You can just be walking down a sidewalk and some asshole could end your life in an instant by not watching where he's going. Major news outlets deliberately leaving out information, selecting out misleading headlines, or having strong political biases/agendas. Edit, I'm seeing more and more replies using the "they are the bad ones" argument. No. Almost all news sites do this, not just CNN, not just Fox Sect. The fact that you feel that way means you're likely the very target audience these news agencies feed off of. You are very reason for my fear. Recognize this and maybe take all of your major feelings on a topic and just search for arguments for and against your stance from other sources. If you're listening to someone you 100% agree with, listen to someone you believe you wouldn't. It's fine if you laugh along, but if they present viable information for their arguments, follow it up. Practice media distancing. I have been largely, but in order to combat disinformation you need to be aware of the talking points, so you sort of need just dive in with healthy skepticism. Animal factory farms churning out antibiotic-resistant bacteria as a result of raising animals in deplorable conditions and close quarters while overusing antibiotics. It's absolutely terrifying, yet we as a population accept it. This will be a major health crisis in our lifetime and we'll all act so shocked when it comes. Edit, long but fantastic article on the topic, https://www.scientificamerican.com/article/how drug-resistant bacteria travel from the farm to your table/edit 2. Thanks for all the engagement. I know we all have ideas on how this could or should be addressed. 99% of US meat is factory farmed. https://sentientmedia.org/US farmed animals live on factory farms/ and we make a choice every single time we go to the grocery or a restaurant to either denounce the practice or to continue to fund and support it. I highly encourage everyone to consider veganism. Learn more about factory farming. Earthlings, US http://www.nationearth.com, Dominion, AUS https://www.dominionmovement.com/watch, Land of Hope and Glory, UK https://www.landofhopeandglory.org. I remember reading something while I was at uni that said something along the lines of, by 2050, tens of millions of people will be dying every year due to bacteria having antibiotic resistance. We could be in a population decline when we reach the end of the century if we don't start taking this seriously. AskReddit, my sincerest apologies to all the human Alexas. Smile. I hassle my dad for being tech backward, but for this reason I will be my dad in a short number of years. I'm not kidding myself that I'm anything like off-grid, but the idea of having something actually designed to listen to you installed in your house just doesn't sit well with me. One of my favorite memes is something like, in the 70s, I can't say it over the phone, it might be wiretapped today, hey wiretap, what's a good recipe for pancakes? And I actually just verbally described a meme. I am my father. The transition is now complete. Working more of your life than you do actually living. ETA, first awards ever, thank you so much guys. The quote from the captain from Wall-E always stuck with me, I don't want to survive, I want to live. That being in debt is normal. So many people just keep digging that hole with some amorphous thought that they will pay it all back eventually, even if they know deep down that it just won't happen. The whole system of credit scores makes my blood boil. It's virtually impossible to exist without a credit score, which you can't get if you don't go into debt. I lived completely debt-free until I was 24, no credit cards, no student loans, worked full-time in college, and finally caved when I couldn't get an apartment on my own because my lack of a credit score showed I had no fiscal responsibility. Fuck that. Edit, to everyone lecturing me about how to use a credit card, thanks but I'm good. I'm 28 and just graduated from law school with no student loans. My credit score is in the 780s and I know perfectly well how to utilize a credit card to maximize benefits and my credit score. I just think the whole system of having to take on debt, even just for a couple of weeks, to prove that you're financially competent is kind of ridiculous. Edit 2, to everyone calling me an idiot for not understanding credit or telling me that all I have to do is pay off my credit card each month, which is obvious, I know that. Answer me this, why can't you just pay for shit out of your own bank account, with money you already have, to show that you're financially responsible? Explain clearly and articulately why that is not sufficient. Thanks. I got a secured credit card at 19 and a regular one at 20. I've just put all of my purchases and bills on that and pay it off at the end of each month. 2 years later, no debt and a 780 score. The April is shit but I've never let it accrue interest so it doesn't affect me. Saying no or telling someone I don't want to do something, setting boundaries. Stuff like that is hard to do. I keep thinking of how I'm disappointing the person, hurting their feelings, or making them angry. And the reason it is so hard to do is because everyone has normalized overstepping boundaries. For instance, you start a new job and your co-workers ask questions to get to know you, but the questions start to become more and more personal and you begin to feel more and more uncomfortable. Do you politely refuse to answer these personal questions? If you do, chances are, your co-workers will become unfriendly and hostile towards you because you are stuck up or unfriendly. Which leads to another extremely frustrating thing that people have normalized, extreme passive aggression. The world is full of predators anymore. Yes. It's awful how common this is. It feels like these are not normal times and it scares me what peak crazy might be. It's starting to get to me. Same. I've developed anxiety. And now I'm depressed and hate everything. It's like being in prison. I have done nothing since March except gain weight and swimming in deep water, especially murky/unclear. Fuck that shit, dude, edit. So I have also just come across r/thalassophobia thanks to you guys, and holy shit, this is nightmare fuel. Deep ocean crystal clear is just as scary. Maybe more. I'll never forget the first time I dived in Hawaii and came across one of the shelves down there. Holy fuck, my heart rate spiked as I realized how massive the world of the ocean is. Biking in traffic, edit. I was thinking of bicycles, but as others have pointed out, it's dangerous for motorbikes too. I live in NYC and even cyclists in bike lanes get hit and killed regularly. Big nope from me. When that motorbike rips by, between lanes, right before you were planning to merge. Oh god, fuck everything about that. I was on the Jersey Turnpike over the weekend and a literal horde of bikers came zooming up past me. I was already doing 90, so who knows how fast they were going. They're winging in and out of lanes, in between cars, and one asswipe even cut off a semi right as the gap between it and the car in front of him closed. Then the stragglers came and I didn't want to be anywhere near them going between me and another car, so I waited for a bunch to yeet themselves into the far right lane and then come back in front of me in the left and moved over once they finished so the jackoffs could scream past me without splitting the difference between two cars already going 85 to 90 miles per hour. Shit's wild. That you should have a career/future planned out for yourself before you finish high school. Why do people do this? As if people don't change as they grow, and that your ambitions stay the same. You expect teens to decide what they're gonna do with their lives before they can even drive? How can I even know what I want to do for the rest of my life until I've lived in the world?